Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing.
Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I'm Anuluakboidu. We begin this morning with growing reactions to President Bola Tinubu's foreign trip, as former Minister Obi Ezekwesili has criticized the president, urging him to return home and amid reports of Nigerians being killed in South Africa. And the comments have reopened questions about leadership, presence in moments of crisis, diplomatic responsibility, and how governments respond when citizens abroad face danger. Should national leadership interrupt international engagement in moments like this, or can diplomacy continue while crises are managed from afar? That is where our conversation starts this morning. We'll also bring you the weather report followed by Daybreak News, where we track the major developments making headlines across the country and beyond.
And I am Samson Balogun. Later, we turn to newspaper headlines and analysis, where the morning headlines reflect the political tension, governance decisions, and social concerns shaping public debate. And joining us to make sense of those stories is Afolabi Afolabi, a public affairs analyst. Then, our big story takes us into an issue that touches on justice, military discipline, and welfare with the conversation. Justice cracks case, a distraction or a spotlight on soldiers' welfare. When stories involving military personnel make national headline, the focus often goes beyond the individual case. Does this particular case expose deeper concerns about welfare, morale, and institutional responsibility within the armed forces? Or is it being overstretched in the public conversation? And joining us for that conversation this morning is Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, KT, a lecturer at the University of Ibadan and human rights activist.
And before we close today, Trend Watch will bring you the stories, reactions, and conversations gaining momentum across the country.
Some stories demand attention, right?
And others demand accountability.
Absolutely. So this morning, we make room for both. Yes. Good morning to you.
Yeah, accountability and, questions and the right questions.
And they have to be answered.
Exactly.
Well, welcome to Daybreak Live this morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning
this morning.
All right, there are interesting stories on the newspaper, but this one catches the attention of so many Nigerians, especially with the recent development in South Africa and the xenophobic attack on Nigerians in that particular country. Former minister in Nigeria has said, no, the president should stop moving from one country to the other and return back home to attend to this particular issue. And some have also raised concerns about the fact that most Nigerians believe to carry out your responsibility as a leader or maybe as a public office holder, you have to be in the four corners of your office. And that, for me, responsibility is carried everywhere you go and not confined to a particular room or a particular structure. That is my own belief of leadership. That is my own belief of responsibility, accountability. It goes along with you everywhere you go. So it is not confined to a room. But, some people who have other beliefs, they have other reasons to think, oh, the president has to be in Nigeria to carry out this responsibility. But the question is, do we have Minister of Foreign Affairs? recently an announcement was made. And we have a new Minister of Foreign Affairs, even though the last Minister of Foreign Affairs resigned his appointment to vie for the gubernatorial seat in his state. Do we have a body like NIDCOM, where Abike Dabiri is, the chairman there? I mean, we have that. These are people who have to be responsible at this time, carry out their major responsibilities, and that is what is being done. And another thing that should, interest people is that the federal government was not resting on their horse at that time. They actually, created a platform where Nigerians who truly want to be evacuated from South Africa should signify. And as at yesterday morning, 130 of them signified their interest to leave South Africa. I don't think there's anything else you want the president to do now that is not yet doing. That is one. Two, at this stage, it is beyond, just having conversations. It's about taking action. And this is not the first time Nigeria is sending a plane to countries where there are issues or maybe crises and say, look, Nigerians, if you are here, just like America will do, just like the United Kingdom will do, send charter flights there, bring Nigerians back home. Even though you would say, oh, Nigerians do not have a charter, a national carrier at this time. But we have always add this synergy with some carriers who would signify their interest in helping Nigeria carry out this responsibility. Although Nigeria should have their own national carrier, which will be a lot easier and cost-effective when you want to carry out this kind of operation. Unfortunately, we do not have. But as it stands, we will still talk about the xenophobic attack and why it should not be South Africa as a country carrying out this kind of thing at this time. But if this is now happening, we have highlighted 3 or 4 things that should be done by the federal government, by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is to give orders. Okay, if the situation has not gotten out of hand, and he really has to have this one-on-one meeting with the President, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, he will still do it. We have bilateral agreements with South Africa, and I don't think that relationship has been strained to such extent that they cannot arrange this over a phone call. Right? Yes, it is something that should not happen. It's an aberration that a fellow African is hating on another African, especially when you call the word black that is being used makes it more irritating than any other thing. Oh, you are black South Africans. What makes you different from other South Africans? You are black Africans. Okay? So what makes you different from fellow Africans? We should stop discriminating among Africans. So if a white man says, oh, you are African, so now we should not be thinking it as an insult. It is, because before we all became human beings from different continents, we were human beings, and that makes us all equal. But if we are now doing this kind of racism in Africa, then there's a problem.
Well, I think you've made a very valid point, maybe to even lay the foundation of this conversation. And like you pointed to South Africa, I was checking into history, and of course, if you're a student of history, you discover during the post-apartheid and even the apartheid time in South Africa, there was a particular thing called SAF. It was South African Relief Fund, right? And a lot of Nigerians contributed to that cause, and it was just to help them post-apartheid to get themselves together, because at the time we understand what has been the fight between the majority, the black majority and the white minority in the South African government, or particularly in South Africa at the time, how that Nelson Mandela and a lot of persons fought for their liberation. And it's something we all celebrated, not just celebrating, it was something we also contributed to. So it wasn't just a South African thing that came about their liberation, it was every African nation that was, of course at the time, interested in doing that. Nigeria, I think I saw one newspaper, very old newspaper, and I think in the 1970s, I can't remember when exactly, Nigeria gave a very tangible amount of money to the South African government. And you want to ask, these people, do they forget history? Because these are things those are the things that should bring us together. Because for the same things can bring us together that tear us apart. And we don't see it this way. Because if this continues in the African, and I know this is like cyclical for South Africa. It's not just that maybe something spirited it and then it's something they've been doing. And I think it's a conversation we should put on the table. Why should you be angry at another black man coming into your community, if so to say? And it begs a lot of questions. Now, let me take it back. Let me start from where we are coming from, and that's the home ground for Nigeria. I want to say categorically that this present administration is facing three kinds of insecurity. And the first is the internal insecurity we have with the banditry situation, the insurgents and all of that. And the second is economic crisis. Food insecurity, or you would call it economic meltdown, whatever you want to call it, is also a part of the situation we are going through. And then the last one is the citizen abroad kind of situation where a lot of persons are now afraid, they are scared, and they are seeking repatriation. But you know, I don't like it when we just overlook repatriation as just a process that should be done when something happens. What about those things that will be lost? I cannot tell you categorically, but I can say that there are Nigerians who are in South Africa who have been in South Africa for like 20 years. And you want to tell me everything they've built from scratch, well, especially the ones who run businesses there. You want everything to just go down, because once they leave, someone else takes over. And there's nobody that's going to pay them for anything. So if you want those people who have settled in that place, who have, you know, developed something, built something, to leave everything they have built all of a sudden, and then come back to Nigeria to start from scratch, Nigeria is also not having a fair share of maybe of the economy right now. So everybody is still struggling. So if they come back, one, I'm not saying they should not. That's what they should do. But I want us to look inward first, right? There's a saying in Yoruba that if you want to reprimand somebody, you have to first do it from the outside, and then you bring it back home later when nobody is there. But we should really bring it back home and talk to ourselves, really, because if another person that you want to come from South Africa about 130, like you mentioned, and of course we've seen in the news, coming back to Nigeria, what is their lot? Because exactly, we should think about, okay, so when they come, I want to say, where's the job? But that's also a conversation. These people are not, some of them are not afraid to come back. They're just afraid to come to a system that is not working, right? And I think that's where a lot of opposition people, maybe OB, is also coming from, to say, if we have to bring them back, there's no issue bringing them back. But what do they have to come back to? Because I don't want to be in South Africa. I don't want to imagine myself being in South Africa for 10 years, building a business, getting a name for myself, and then having resources around me. All of a sudden, something happens and you want me to come back to Nigeria. What is the assurance that I would live a good life? What is the assurance that I will get a job? What is the assurance that I will continue to build, or I will be able to build from scratch like I did in South Africa? And I know, for one, human beings are nomadic in nature. There's no, at every point of human civilization, people have been migrating. It's a natural situation. It's a natural thing. People migrate, whether or not you take them through whatever means. I don't want to call the means that we know, but whichever way, people will migrate from one place to the other, which is okay, right? What is not okay for me is when we have this kind of things happening, especially on the African continent, on the soil. It should not happen when we have countries, and it wasn't just Nigeria. Maybe, of course, we have to look at Nigeria first, because this is where we belong to. But a lot of countries as well are complaining. Some countries like Ghana, I saw some people, they were beaten up by a mob. That is not necessary. This is 2026, for crying out loud. We should not have these kind of things, right? But I just want to say, the big job is to be done by our present administration and then the government, and they should tackle this, not just from the outside again, but also from the inside. Let's tackle. I mean, I know it's easy to say. That's why I'm saying it easily, but I'm also saying it's possible. It's not just that we are just saying it because we just want to talk and just say anything because talk is cheap. No, we are not saying that. We want something that would help the Nigerian, because if an average person can comfortably come back to Nigeria and say that I can start a job and build a business of my own and do well. People have built business, people are building businesses, but how many of them have a platform that would help them really grow fast? That's a conversation. I was checking one time, and I will tell you this before I try to make the other point I want to make, is that I tried checking an average. If you check your job now, whatever you do in Nigeria, check it, like how much does an average call your job now? Let's say carpenter earns in developed nations of the world. Now look at it. Now I know the economic situation is better, right? Now slash it into 2. You will still see that you are nothing near. Slash it into 3. You will see that you are nothing near. And I'm saying this about the country and how the system has been. There are people that are working their, I don't want to call that, but they are working their life out, literally, just to earn meager. And you want to question, what is the hope of this nation? That's why you see the influx of people running. There's a lot of people running away from this country. They are not running because they don't like Nigeria. They are running because they've tried. Not because they've not done anything before. A good number of them have started businesses, and the businesses did not grow. And it seems like the platform is not available where they can stand, how they can build. The soil is not fertile enough for them. And that's why they say, the people keep saying that they're looking for greener pastures. And you will not blame people, especially if you keep having this. So if we can have a system that pays the Nigerian people well, let's have a structure. I'm not even talking about the minimum wage or the living wage or whatever we are calling it. I'm saying that if the economy is better, a lot of people will not leave Nigeria. And I tell you for a fact, Nigeria is still a good place to live. Till tomorrow, I'm still saying it. There are a lot of people who work for multinationals, internationals, and all of these companies abroad, and they stay in Nigeria because obviously there's relative peace in some places, right? And there's relative security for some things in the country. And I'm saying, how about we have it across board? How about we have that relative peace, that relative financial autonomy across board? How about people get paid well, not just meager, not just token? I don't want to mention into the cases I've seen that I've even done a case study to see how much people earn, people that are really working, how much they earn in the country. But if you have to check that, you have to also consider how much do our government people in power, people in positions of authority, how much do they earn? Like the Senate, we've talked about, I mean, there's been conversations about putting Senate on a contract basis so that whenever there's an issue, they come together and they get money for that, not just getting all of the allowances that they're getting, even when sometimes they don't have sittings in like 2 weeks, and you say they still earn the money there. So, I mean, so it's a case for the Nigerian people to say, I understand why Obi Ezekwesili said this, and I think I would say it's valid in that sense, but it's also good when you get criticism, right? Don't shelve it all the way. Look at the ones you can take from it and then work with it. If President Tinubu works with, I'm not even, I don't support that Tinubu will now leave, shelve his journey, his plans and all of that, and then go to South Africa. I mean, that's not even something, that might not even bring the solution, right? We have, like you mentioned, we should have Minister of Foreign Affairs, we should have someone, maybe a designated ambassador or something to help us as well. These are things we can, like you said, over the phone, we can talk about this. He has a working relationship with Cyril Ramaphosa, South African president, and I think this can be done without the president shelving his itinerary. And I think that's maybe why I think Obi Ezekwesili might not have gotten a try to say the president should leave whatever he's doing and then come back to face. Because what if we've come back? Because I'm saying, okay, so I'm sorry, but one last time. What if you said the president should come back and he wants to come back and another thing happens in another country? How can the president displace himself in 3 folds or 5 folds? It's not possible.
The reason why you have to delegate and give people responsibilities is because you cannot be everywhere at the same time. You are limited. So each time you shed your responsibility to people to help you carry it out, is an indication that you are a leader and you would love to be in that position, and you would want people to be your ears, be your noses, and anywhere there, and then give you feedback as regards, maybe get further instruction on how to proceed on important issues. But before I come back to that, you mentioned SAF the other time, and that is something that really bothers me, and it saddens me a lot that it should not be a country like South Africa, okay? They do not have the moral ground to do whatever it is they are doing now. In fact, it is, each time I think about what is going on in South Africa and what has happened before this xenophobic attack on fellow Africans, I do believe wisdom left through the window in South Africa. But then, it's really disheartening. But then, let's look at what happened in the past, and the people who are in South Africa now probably did not even experience, they were not around during SAF, but their parents were. And they contributed immensely. There are a list of people who actually had, whether they liked it or not, they had to contribute a certain part of their income to South African cause at that time. Civil servants, for example, there was a compulsory 2% deduction from their take-home at that time, which was, for people in South Africa, because they were going through apartheid at that time. Students, thousands of Nigerian students in the secondary schools and universities had to voluntarily skip their meals, lunch at that time, or donate portions of their allowances for that cause. The government at that time, as at 1976 to 1977, contributed about $3.7 million to South Africa, which head of state at that time, Olusegun Obasanjo, personally contributing $3,000 of his take-home to that cause. I mean, I don't think a country like South Africa should now come and go through that. As at the end of 1977, Nigeria had given South Africa $10.5 million. Okay, and there were some other support aids, aside from the cash of $10.5 million, which Nigeria gave them at that time. Now, what should happen at this time to make them go back to their senses? There should be a kind of diplomatic retaliation. Okay, that should be the first thing. Sanctions should come in, and that is the place of African Union. What is African Union doing at this time? They are too silent. I mean, the reason I did not mention United Nations is because I don't want us to wash our dirty linens out there. But then, what is African Union doing? Okay, if African Union is not is not really in the news at this time, then what exactly? Why do we have African Union? I mean, every African country should go their separate ways and just do their things their way. They should be talking at this time. I mean, the president of South Africa should be called to a closed-door meeting with leaders of other African countries. What exactly is going on in your country? Because is it to say that there are no South Africans in other countries? There are business installations across African countries, especially in Nigeria, which has gained widespread popularity. And if Nigerians should now do what people would call a form of retaliation and boycott their businesses, you do know how much damage that would do to them. Yes, they sold one of those installations, but there's still one that is very, very prominent. You are subscribed to that particular business. I am subscribed to that. Every other person, I mean, about 70% of people in this building, they subscribe to that particular business. If they are now to boycott and then do Nigeria, just like the last administration preached, buy Naira, grow Naira. Do Nigeria as a country. Buy Nigerian goods. Subscribe to Nigerian businesses. What will happen to South Africa as a country and South Africa businessmen who have businesses in Nigeria? You see, the people who are on the street of South Africa carrying out this kind of dastardly act, they are not students of history. They did not read. Most of them they have been everywhere during this particular crisis, except at work. If they actually have something doing, I don't think any reasonable person will be on the street, trying to look for who took your job. If you are qualified to get that job in the first place, nobody will give it to an outsider. Okay? And I don't believe that the best way to go about it is now to start harassing people, shooting them, and getting them beaten for what reason? To what extent? So, just like I said earlier, there should be a form of retaliation. It has been done before. I think earlier this year, Nigeria as a country had to go through that. There was a form of diplomatic retaliation, while no country has successfully. You see, it saddens me. But if that is to be done, Nigeria as a country alone cannot do it. Where is the place of Malawi, Botswana? These are countries who share borders with them. Zimbabwe. Yeah. This is the time for them to shut their borders and keep South Africans locked in their countries without access to other countries. This is when you will know exactly what you are trying to do. Because no country can live as an island. Okay? Your people will need other people. If we now go deeper in this conversation, some South Africans are married to Malawians. They're married to Botswanans. They are married to Nigerians. I mean, where would you put your children who are married to these people?
We'll just be straining many things.
I mean, wisdom does. I mean, this kind of situation in South Africa, I mean, it escapes logic. Okay? Logic cannot explain it. It is totally unreasonable, unfounded, and whoever is championing this cause, I think by now the South African government should have that person behind bars, because you are creating unrest in your own country.
Absolutely.
And whoever does that, I mean, you know what it is called, right? It is totally against the law, and I mean, it's still walking free. These people are walking free on the streets of South Africa. It means, I mean, when they say, there's this usual saying that when insurgency lasts more than 24 hours in the country, the government is complicit. But this thing that is going on in South Africa, should we now ask the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, are you complicit in all of this?
I think that's the valid question now, because obviously, when in fact there were faces of these people who were perpetrating the evil.
They were recorded on tape.
I know you have the data for how many persons are in what area, in where in the country. So it's just as easy as saying that, according to, so who is the local government leader there? Please get all these people or get the police to go take. It's just as easy as that, because the body language of the government and Cyril Ramaphosa now is very important in this situation. Yeah, I think last week we had an event in Nigeria, and one public figure from South Africa, of course, Vusi Tembekwayo, was in Nigeria, and then he was speaking to this issue too, and then he said he does not understand why this is. So obviously, we can tell that it's not every South African that is saying that this should happen, right? But it has become a cyclical event. It has become something that almost become a culture in South Africa to say every time they are feeling unrest or they have issues, maybe economic issues, the next thing they do is what they call scapegoating. And when they scapegoat, they look out for people that are doing well. And that is even the wrong thing to do. Anybody that is doing well in your country is helping you. One, is going to help you in terms of economy. It's probably going to employ one or two of your people, right? You can't do it alone. You can't have a business as big as this place and want to work alone. You can't be the cameraman. You can't be the photographer. You can't be everything. You need hands, right? Let them get more people. The person is giving you job. So if you shut this door, you're shutting the door against your people. So any kind of xenophobic attack you make, it's against yourself as well. And not just to even imagine that you are doing it to an African fellow. We are all together the same, right? So if you are doing it, and that's exactly where we are going to. Cyril Ramaphosa should be questioned. I think I want to buy into what you said about the diplomatic sanction. It's very necessary at this point. Whatever situation we've had in the past, this should be the last. If we have had this happen before, it's okay. But from this moment onward, heretofore, we do not want this again. Let it be clear. And that's what a lot of persons are asking the president to do. President Tinubu, let your body language be clear that you are against this thing.
Because he has not made a statement about it.
It's also one of the things. Your body language, even in statement or in action or in conversation, there are many things we have bilateral relations with South Africa. There are many things we've agreed upon. Tell them if this does not stop, this agreement that is supposed to last 10 years, we are cutting it. And it's just as simple as that. It's not as if we are going to leave off South Africa. It's not as if South Africa does not have partnership with us, we are going to die as a country. We need to make it, see, Nigeria should not at this level be dealing with this kind of issue. I'm not saying to say that Nigeria is the best or the giant of Africa. I'm not saying, but I'm saying Nigeria is very consequential in this continent, right? If a country of over 250 million people estimate is having this kind of issue, what do you say? Because we have a lot of Nigerians. Someday, one day, if this does not get nipped in the bud, something, this is what will happen. Another country will stand up against people that are from African countries and will say no to them and will send them packing. All of a sudden, after making progress, after helping the country, they will send them packing. And that's what's going to happen if the body language of this present administration is not as strong as it should be.
Okay, I mentioned sanctions the other time. There are several ways this could be done. Okay, I think right about now, according to materials, information out there, South Africa, one of their power installations is in Mozambique, Kaurabasa Dam, where generated electricity. I expect a country like Mozambique to have shut down that particular place as we speak, because you have to, your body language must tell the real story of what is going on. You can't keep quiet like everything is right. These people, with the way they are going, if no one calls them to order, I mean, they will continue. It will get worse, okay? It will get worse, and people will lose their lives. Already, people are losing their lives, but it will get worse, way worse than what we are thinking. And also, as it stands, South Africa does not currently produce any significant amount of crude oil and relies almost entirely on imports to meet its energy needs. Who is selling them oil at this time? The African countries selling them oil at this time should just spend it for 2 weeks and see exactly what they will go through as a country. They will come back to their senses and realize you need these countries, you need other African countries. Okay, just like there are South Africans doing business in Nigeria. Nobody has, I mean, there was the last time some Nigerians went to the South African High Commission in Nigeria. It was even the Nigerian government that told them to leave. I mean, it was as simple as that. They were told to evacuate that environment or they will be arrested, and all of them had to evacuate the place. They left. So it shows how disciplined Nigerians are when it comes to getting instructions. Okay, the government said, "Oh, you do not do this unless in some extreme cases that you find Nigerians there. They will leave." But I don't think it is the same in South Africa. And the body language of their president and their parliament at this time shows exactly what kind of country they are and why some African countries really need to stop doing business with them and show them exactly what they deserve at this time. It is totally uncalled for. It is unreasonable. At this time, it actually defeats logic.
I think I've just tried to say in one word that what we are preaching is unity in the African continent. We do not want this. Nobody is interested or happy about the situation that some people have to keep be killed. Some people have to lose their jobs and the businesses they've built for so long. No, and that's what we are saying. We do not want that to happen in the country. And this is not us trying to be against South Africa or trying to show that we are angry or reprisal or trying to. No, that's not the case. The case is we want peace in the African continent. We want bilateral relations that is steady, that is stable, and we want an end to xenophobia across the country.
Well, it's a convenient place to leave that topic this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. But it's time to help you plan your day and check what the weather looks like in some parts of the country this morning. We'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan. What does the weather look like in Ibadan? As we speak, in Ibadan, weather is currently partly cloudy, and temperature is around 26 degrees Celsius, but it will rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius later in the morning, with the weather cloudy and the humidity will be at 1%. By afternoon, it rises to 34 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy, and of course, the humidity will be at 11%. There will be a drop in the evening to 27 degrees Celsius. It will remain partly cloudy. Humidity also drops drastically to 2%, and overnight, it drops again to 25 degrees Celsius, remaining partly cloudy. Humidity will be at 10% in Ibadan today. And
from Ibadan, I'll take a 117 kilometers drive to Lagos today because the weather in Lagos will be fair, averagely at 28 degrees Celsius. In the morning, 31 degrees Celsius is what it starts with, especially. It's going to be mostly cloudy across board. And in the afternoon, just a slight difference of 1 degree Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius. Expect to be partly cloudy as well. And then it drops down to 29 degrees Celsius in the evening to become partly cloudy. And it remains partly cloudy overnight at 27 degrees Celsius, although a 2 degrees Celsius drop overnight in Lagos today.
All right, from the Center of Excellence, we move straight to the Gateway State this morning, and that is Abeokuta in Ogun State. Right now, in Abeokuta, weather is currently 26 degrees Celsius. It is partly cloudy, but it will rise to 31 degrees Celsius later in the morning, mostly cloudy with humidity at 1%, quite similar to what we have in Ibadan. Later in the afternoon, it will rise to 34 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy. Humidity rises to 17%. It will remain partly cloudy in the evening at 28 degrees Celsius, humidity at 3%, while overnight it drops further to 25 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, humidity at 8% in Abeokuta, Ogun State today.
And from Abeokuta to Osun-Osogbo today, the weather is going to be cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius across board in Osun. Today in the morning, 30 degrees Celsius, expect to be mostly cloudy, and in the afternoon is expected to increase by 3 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius to become partly cloudy. It remains partly cloudy all through the evening at 26 degrees Celsius, and it drops by 2 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius overnight to become mostly cloudy at 5% humidity in Osun-Osogbo today.
All right, we'll take this one from Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Weather in Port Harcourt right now is currently at 22 degrees Celsius. There will be a promise of scattered thunderstorms later in the morning at 28 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be at 49%. And by afternoon, it remains at 28 degrees Celsius. Also, there will be a promise of scattered thunderstorms. So morning, all through the morning, it will be a little bit wet in Port Harcourt River State, and humidity will drop to 35 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. And by evening, it will be mostly cloudy, with humidity at 3%, and weather will be at 23 degrees Celsius. But there will be a slide up to 22 degrees Celsius overnight with a promise of showers in Port Harcourt, and humidity goes back to 39 degrees Celsius percent right there in Port Harcourt River State today.
And from Port Harcourt now to Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, the weather will be partly cloudy across board at 26 degrees Celsius. Then in the morning, it will be sunny, mostly sunny across board at 31 degrees Celsius, and it increases by 3 degrees Celsius to 34 degrees Celsius, expected to be partly cloudy in the afternoon. And then in the evening, it drops back to 28 degrees Celsius, expected to remain partly cloudy. And it will still remain partly cloudy overnight at 25 degrees Celsius, although it dropped 3 degrees Celsius down to 25 degrees Celsius in the Federal Capital Territory today.
All right, a quick talk to Kano State this morning. What does the weather look like in Kano? As we speak in Kano, weather is a little bit sunny at 28 degrees Celsius, at 30 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning it rises to 36 degrees Celsius. It will be sunny with humidity at 0%. It will remain sunny in the afternoon as it rises as high as 41 degrees Celsius, Of course, by evening it will be clear, and overnight it will be clear at, of course, weather will be at 33 and 27 degrees Celsius respectively in Kano State today.
And from Kano to Maiduguri, Borno State, at 29 degrees Celsius, the weather will become mostly cloudy across board in Maiduguri. And in the morning, it will be very cloudy at 37 degrees Celsius. Then a very sharp rise in the afternoon to 43 degrees Celsius, expected to be very sunny across many parts of Borno today. And in the evening, a significant drop by 10 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius, and then the weather will become clear. It will remain clear overnight at 28 degrees Celsius in Maiduguri, Borno State today.
And lastly, on weather report this morning, we'll take this one from Niger State. Of course, as we speak, in Niger, weather is currently at 29 degrees Celsius. It is partly cloudy right there. Later in the morning, there will be a slight rise to 31 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy. Humidity will be at 1%. It will be mostly sunny in the afternoon as weather goes up to 35 degrees Celsius, and humidity will be at 6%. It will be mostly clear in the evening as it drops to 28 degrees Celsius, humidity at 2%. Humidity will be at 1% later overnight, and of course it will be partly cloudy with temperature at 26 degrees Celsius in Suleja, Niger State today. And that is all we can take on weather report this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast and our Facebook page at Dominion Broadcast Television. Drop your comment there. Of course, we'll take them on this show. All right, let's go on a quick break. And when we return, it is time for Daybreak News. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I'm Anuluakpo Ido. President Bola Tinubu has approved the deployment of 4 newly appointed federal permanent secretaries as part of efforts to strengthen governance and improve service delivery across key sectors. In a statement signed by Director of Information and Public Relations, Eno Olotu, on behalf of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, noting that the moves support the administration's renewed hope agenda. According to the release, the appointment followed the competitive selection process and are intended to boost interministerial collaboration and drive sustainable development. The Nigerian Immigration Service has dismissed reports circulating online about its passport application and payment system, describing them as false and misleading. In a statement, the service said its digital passport process remains secure and is only accessible through its official portal. It also denied claims of any partnership with religious organizations or private individuals in its payment system, calling the allegations entirely untrue. The agency warned the public to avoid unofficial platforms and said it has begun investigating the source of the misinformation. The Southwest Development Commission, SWDC, will launch an 80 billion naira rural transformation initiative targeting the Southwest region. The SWDC chairman, Olubunmi Adetunbi, speaking ahead of the event, revealed that the initiative will be launched at the summit in Ibadan to be attended by government officials, development finance institutions, and private sector leaders on 5th to 6th May 2026. The Commission said the high-level roundtable will formally introduce the Transformed Communities Program, Transcoms, aimed at improving rural livelihoods, boosting jobs, and creating 137 self-sustaining community economies across 6 states. Tension flared at the Federal High Court in Abuja as protesters warned President Bola Tinubu against alleged interference in the judiciary and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The demonstrators, led by Banki Sharif, under the concerned Northern Nigeria stakeholders, marched to the Wuse Court, chanting and displaying placards demanding protection of opposition politics. At the heart of the protest is the alleged attempt to weaken opposition parties and influence institutions like INEC, a move the group says threatens democratic competition and public trust in the courts. Security operatives, including the Department of State Services, DSS, blocked access as protesters warned democracy cannot thrive under intimidation, urging neutrality from Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi, who insists he is upholding the Constitution and electoral laws. Oyo State Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde has said that the People's Democratic Party, PDP, will produce Nigeria's next president in the 2027 general elections. Makinde made the statement while addressing party members and stakeholders during the 103rd National Executive Committee meeting of his backed PDP faction held in Abuja, emphasizing the party's readiness and potential to reclaim power at the national level. The decision followed a motion moved by the Edo State PDP chairman Tony Aziegbemi and seconded by the party's ex-officio member Clement Fagboyede. The meeting also saw the appointment of new committee members, including Taufik Arapaja as National Secretary, alongside other party stakeholders. The Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, IBEDC, has confirmed the abduction of 2 of its staff members in the Ogun region. And this was conveyed in a statement issued by IBEDC management, revealing that it is working closely with security agencies to secure their release, while maintaining contact with the families and providing necessary support during the crisis. IBEDC further added that due to the sensitive nature of ongoing rescue efforts, further details cannot be disclosed for now, but assures that updates will be given as the situation develops. And in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has reported a profit after tax of 276 billion naira for March 2026, more than double its February earnings. The company said revenue rose to 2.7 trillion naira, driven by increased gas production and improved operational efficiency, with output reaching its highest level in the past year. Despite the gains, NNPC notes that pipeline disruptions, including issues on the Transforcados line, affected production, but adds that recovery measures are on the way to stabilize output. And in sports, Nigeria's athletes have secured additional qualification spots for the 2027 World Athletics Championships in Beijing after a strong outing at the 2026 World Relays in Gaborone, Botswana. The country booked places on the women's 4x100 meters and mixed 4x400 meters relays on the final day of competition. The mixed 4x400 meters team of Chidi Okezie, Nathaniel Ezekiel, Taiwo Mary Kuduro, and Patience Okonjed ran a season's best of 3.12 seconds to qualify. The women's 4x100 meter team also bounced back from an earlier setback to secure qualification with a 4.294 second finish. The performances underline Nigeria's growing strength in relay events ahead of the 2027 championships. And that's about it on Daybreak News. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and X at Dominioncast. And that ends Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Anuluakpo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of next level broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
So you allow me to bring you up to speed with a conversation that the National Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, that's Bolaji Abdullahi, has criticized former presidential aspirant of the party, Peter Obi, alleging that he showed little interest in the party's manifesto during his brief stay in the coalition, plotting to unseat President Bola Tinubu. Speaking during an interview, Abdullahi questioned Obi's familiarity with the party's position on key national issues. But this is a big deal because it wasn't just Abdullahi that said it. APC and the presidency released a statement shortly after his defection as well to say Peter Obi is being questioned because he's just moving from one pillar to pole, and they're asking the question, really, where is the ideology behind your movement and all of that? But that is also one of the conversations we'll be having and be tracking on the newspapers this morning. Of course, this is the newspaper headlines and analysis segment of the program where we check into the print and bring you stories that are breaking and developing across the world. Across Nigeria, but for most part, sometimes we delve in because now there are a lot of issues even around the world that we must also spotlight. But now I'll start with the newspapers in Nigeria. And on the first paper I will pick up this morning, the front page is so interesting. That's the Punch newspaper this morning. Has it punched on the Punch this morning? APC consensus cool. Government's tighten grip on Senate tickets displays incumbents. Well, that's the story. It's about the APC consensus coup as well. Governors tighten grip on Senate tickets displays incumbents. That's the conversation right there. A lot of movement across and around, people trying to get Senate seats. Even governors that have served, they're looking for a chance. Everybody's trying to look for that grip on Senate tickets. But that's exactly what you would expect, because the conversation is all about the elections come 2027, just a few months away, and a lot of persons are already making, alignments to get this party ticket. Now, moving on from that now, federal government loans 11.8 billion naira to 6,842 tertiary institution workers. That's on the top corner of the Punch newspaper this morning. Federal government loans 11.8 billion naira to 6,842 tertiary institution workers. That is also a story we'll catch right there on the Punch newspaper. Now, the left corner of the Punch top says xenophobia. Federal government seeks justice for slain Nigerians. That is also something to check out, and it was one of the conversations we highlighted just this morning because it's just as important as every other thing we do today, because we don't want the lives of people to be at stake. We don't want them to have fear, and we don't want people to die and lose money, lose businesses and everything they have built. We want a cordial relationship between the African states. I mean, this is very necessary. Now, defendants admit knowledge of plots in video evidence. That's about the coup. Of course, you understand how this has been a thing, because some questioning, some court cases have already gone, and a lot of other court cases are still going on. So there seems to be a development from that to say about the coup that defendants are admitting knowledge of plots in video evidence. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper to catch more on that story. Now, coming down a little bit, NNPC signs deal to revamp Warri Port Harcourt refineries. How many of these times have we signed deal to revamp this moribund, or usually allegedly moribund refineries in the country, Port Harcourt and Warri? Anyway, we hope this is not just one of those cases. We hope this will not just be a walk, be a talk. It will just, it will be something to really look up to, like what we say, walking the talk situation. Now, moving on from that, now, Wike PDP bloc rejects Makinde's interim National Working Committee primaries schedule. Wike PDP bloc rejects Makinde's interim NWC primaries schedule. That's also one of the things. You see the picture of the faction, of course, across the newspaper. You see at the 104th National Executive Committee NEC meeting. You see the faces that are known and the ones that are unknown. But of course, these are PDP people, PDP members and leaders of the party. Moving on from the leaders of the party of PDP now to some other stories now. Soldier assault. Journalist in Lagos traffic altercation. Well, that's also a story I want to catch up on this morning. States Sean autonomy ruling retain 1.46 trillion naira local government funds. States Sean autonomy ruling retain 1.46 trillion naira local government funds. That's the conversation right there. And this is important because, of course, the president has already said that there should be local government autonomy. But it seems some people are not buying into this. They are not having this, and they're saying, especially some state governors are saying, no, this can never happen. And it seems like maybe their words are coming to fruition, because it seems that the federal government might not have a choice but to just do as they bid. And exactly, that's how we have it on the local government autonomy. And I'll take the other story at the down part of the Punch newspaper. This one is about hantavirus scare. WHO, that's the World Health Organization, reports 3 deaths, launches emergency response. That story is on page 26 to catch up on the Punch newspaper this morning. WHO reports 3 deaths, launches emergency response. That is something to catch out and look out for this morning. I'll sweep and swipe to something else, and this is not a sidewise swipe, but it's just this main swipe to the Vanguard newspaper. And on the Vanguard newspaper, we have the story: registration. Dixon kicks as Ado vows court action, faults INEC on NDC. That's on the Vanguard newspaper, as you can see on your screen. NDC claims 10 million members enrolled in 48 hours. Hold state congresses. ADC Atiku's camp denied defection talks with NDC. That is also something to look out for this morning. Meanwhile, Chinese firms to operate Warri Port Harcourt refineries, and that's coming from the NNPC. But must we have other firms to do whatever works for? If it works for the country, let's have it. But if it doesn't, maybe we might need to ask ourselves the right questions. Now, 16 killed in attacks on Katsina Plateau communities. That's on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. This one in Akume, broadcast peace in Benue. APC ends month of crisis. Akume, that's Senator George Akume, broadcast peace in Benue. Yes, there was a meeting that involved leaders of the APC in Benue State particularly, where they met together to end their month of crisis. But we hope this will just be the light for them at the end of their tunnel. Meanwhile, video plotters admit to planning coup against Tinubu in court. And again, PDP crisis deepens as rival blocs claim control. That is also a story right on the top corner of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Something to look up to and to catch up on this morning. Xenophobia. Federal government demands probe into killing of Nigerians in South Africa. Also a story I want to catch up with this morning. CSO's lawyer demand action against perpetrators. Also a story right there to check out this morning. I'll swipe away from the Vanguard newspaper now to Daily Independent newspaper to see what we have on the front page. And this time around, it's about the PDP BOT, that's the Board of Trustees. Chair calls for total reconciliation within party. That's the Daily Independent newspaper, right? That's the biggest caption right there. You might want to check out the sub-writers who say party appoints Turaki as interim national chairman, and of course pegs presidential form at 100 million naira, governorship at 40 million naira. There's something about 100 million naira for presidency in this country. It's like every party is following suit to say this is how much you can get your nomination from. 100 million naira is what you should have if you are thinking of it. So even if Samson Balogun wants to contest, he has to get the money. Wherever he would find it, we don't know. But the case is, you just have to get the money. Of course, many other stories still to come, but that will be in our subsequent bulletins and newscasts on this channel. But because we have to shelve this newspaper review this morning and move on to the next segment of the program, which is the big story. But that will be shortly after this break. Stay with us.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning once again and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live, your frontline platform for conversations shaping the conscience of our nation. I am Samson Balogun, and today we turn our attention to a controversy that has stirred outrage, concern, and deeper questions about justice within Nigeria's military system. The story of Justice Crack, a blogger, social media influencer, content creator, a civilian commentator, as he would call himself sometimes, reportedly detained after raising concerns over poor welfare conditions in the military. It has sparked a nationwide debate. For many Nigerians, his case is more than just a disciplinary matter. It has become a symbol of a much larger conversation. Are we punishing dissent while ignoring the hardship faced by those sworn to protect the nation? This morning, we ask, is Justice Crack's case merely a distraction, or has it become the spotlight exposing the long-neglected welfare crisis within the armed forces? And joining us to unpack this important issue, the human rights angle and institutional dimensions of this issue, is Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremo, Comrade KT, a lecturer at the University of Ibadan and a respected human rights activist. Comrade, we say thank you for joining us on the show this morning. But just before I bring you on board, let's talk about a brief discussion about what this case is all about for our viewers out there. The Nigerian military remains one of the most powerful and respected institutions in the country, charged with enormous responsibility of defending national sovereignty and confronting insecurity on multiple fronts. But behind the uniform, behind the salutes and the patriotism are men and women who endure enormous physical and emotional burdens in service to the nation. The case involving Justice Crack has forced many Nigerians to confront an uncomfortable question. What happens when those tasked with protecting the people begin to speak out about their own conditions through any means necessary and amplified by social media influencers? At the heart of this matter lies a difficult tension, the balance between military discipline and fundamental dignity. Can a soldier demand better welfare without being seen as insubordinate? Can an institution built on command and obedience make room for legitimate grievances? And more importantly, what does this case reveal about the broader state of the soldiers' welfare, morale, and institutional accountability in Nigeria? This is no longer about just about Justice Crack alone. It is about whether the system listens to the voices within its ranks or silences them. And that is the conversation we must have today. Because this morning, we are going to scratch beyond the surface. And that is why I have with me in the studio, Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremo. So let me formally welcome you to Dominion Broadcast Group. It's been a while. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, it's been a while. I've missed Dominion TV, so glad to be here again.
Thank you for joining us.
But very sad.
It is saddening and pathetic at the same time. Now, let's take a critical look at this situation. You've been following Justice Crack's case.
Yeah.
And as a human rights activist, from your own standpoint, what exactly is at stake in this Justice Crack's case?
Two things. I'm very sad. I saw women crying. I saw the protests at the court. I saw a lot of clips about it. And the first feeling I had was, wow, the war we fought against the military junta, our children are still facing. The things we did, fighting to have a democratic process. And when I talk about democracy, it's not what I'm saying in Nigeria, okay? So many years down the lane, and we're still where we are. Where human lives, human dignity, ability to speak your mind is fought. In fact, it's so bad that we're seeing flagellation. A situation where a young man expressed his mind. If we want these people to protect us, and that's also my stand. If you expect a man to be committed to the defense of your life at the risk of his own, he needs optimal protection. Unfortunately, when the man spoke up, he was picked up again. That's what I call flagellation. Beating yourself because we're not willing to face an amorphous system. We have not put in place a structure that protects citizenry. We've watched in this nation And so many soldiers have been decimated by insurgents. And they will tell you, and this is a conversation of last week. Somebody told me, kids, you don't understand. They are not Nigerians. And I was like, you don't even know what you're talking about. The duty of the military is to defend the nation against external aggression. So a situation where you pick insurgents or the captured ones, you whitewash them, tell you you've de-radicalized them and join them to the military.
And you say they are not Nigerians.
And you say they are not Nigerians.
Why are you integrating them into the system?
That is it. So that tells you we are yet to have a nation. We are yet to know what we want to do with this geographical territory called Nigeria. We are not united yet on the future. So it's so sad that so many years down the lane, I remember as an activist, starting from Babangida's era, it became very dangerous. It was always dangerous to speak for the weak. It's always been very dangerous. In fact, when we were kids, we were warned. And we didn't even think we would grow up because of the level of aggression in the state, in the nation. So over time, we discovered, well, we don't have any other life. For some people, there are other lives, There are other lives. They can jump from one party to another. They can sing this today. But for the activist, a true comrade, there's no other life. You speak for the weak. You speak for your nation. You cry for it. We know of Ganifa Wehime. We know of our friends that are dead. Chima, Demola. A lot of people gone in our ranks. But we still don't have any other life. So when I now see young people again, apart from the 2020 saga, watching our children mourned down and still no justice, I'm seeing again young people standing up and saying, no, we want justice.
So can a Nigerian soldier lawfully complain about hardship in the military, poor welfareism, and still not get punished for doing that? Or the system is designed to suppress dissent?
No. And that is why I think we need to really think about it.
Because some say they act based on command. And if you are commanded not to complain, you don't complain.
When you understand that system, I think many Nigerians don't understand the military system. The military system is such that you must listen to the people. And your captain, you see, that's why it's organized, it's regimented. That's what they're saying. Look, it's simple. Look, you must obey a command. You're hot-wired to go without asking questions. That is the essence of scraping the hair. You understand you're not a standalone individual. You're in a team. But your captain leads the army. That is the thing. Your captain leads your team. Your captain is responsible for your life. So when you have such a system that has not been bastardized by politicizing, okay, where your commandant, you see, it's only in Nigeria I see generals that have never been to battles. You know what I mean? Look, when a captain makes a decision, in fact, that is what is informing the presidential system of America. A situation, and think of Israel too, where the females, that attendant that is laughing with you, your tour guide, is a military personnel. Okay, do you get it? Is a mental state that is really very noble. A situation where the good of the whole system is more important than personal aggrandizement. And you know that when you are there, slaving, somebody has your back, the commandant, the captain, the major. You get what I'm saying? So they are fighting for you. It's not you. So they will defend. That's why sometimes when I hear some people say comrade, I say, do you even know the meaning? The camaraderie is for you to be there at the cost of your life to carry another soldier at the front line. It is not, so we did not, at a point, I had to use the word at a point. Historically, people that were willing to lay their lives down for a system, for the survival and of their wives, their children, their mothers, it's very important. They are the reason people can sleep and close their eyes at night. They were the reason, I'm talking about the historical aspects of the military. They were the people aggressors were kept at bay. They were the reasons people did not become slaves. So anytime, I will doff my cap for any man in the military, whether naval, whether the Air Force, the military. These are men that sleep outside without caring whether the pillow was of stone. Unfortunately, the Nigerian military had not been I find this very difficult, really,
Okay.
because they are properly trained. In other crimes, they excel. But at home, we see a little form of civilian terrorism.
So where do we draw the lines between insubordination and genuine complaints?
You see, when you have a true leader, you will understand that strict discipline is necessary in the military. And no soldier. You see, when we talk about strict training, even as kids, myself and my brother, as children, we just noticed from movies that people would want to exact information from you, and they'll make you lose sleep and you lose food. And we started experimenting as children. How long does it take to break without food? How long does it take to break without water? So we knew that such callings were high. We're not in the military today, but we understood what it would mean. We're comrades, you don't know what I'm saying. So I'm saying that mental attitude, so I will not see as a person that when your captain, a captain that is dedicated to you, not somebody that has been gowned in the camouflage and has the mind of a terrorist. You see the difference now? The clock does not make the monk. A situation where you have gowned and put uniform on men with evil acts, those are not soldiers. In a proper system, your captain will not lead you to trouble. Your captain will tell you, there's no going back. We're winning because our wives, our mothers, our children will be made slaves if we refuse to stand. So at that point, when they say you're going to be climbing on men, that these guys are lined down, and somebody has to get to that point where they have to detonate something very important. So you now say you're not lying down. Do you see it? But a situation where somebody, and the Nigerian experience, would not release funds. So that's the corruption factor. Unfortunately, corruption was a campaign point. Never something that we're willing to tackle. You can think of a Traore. You know what I mean? So it's you live your life defending the people. Unfortunately, the kind of soldier come, soldier go, where we get for Nigeria, not the kind of people we go save this nation.
Okay, now let's talk about Justice Crack as an individual who chose to amplify the complaints of some Nigerian soldiers. Would you consider that a form of oppression by the military to keep him silent?
Definitely. The essence of information. I have to give this to President Jonathan. He gave some freedom to access to information. Because when you can still speak.
It was under his tenure that Freedom of Information Bill became an act.
Yes, because he knew that the system has issues. But if you're free to access information, he was hoping, and that's why I said I was sad. He was hoping that when you have access to information, you know what is hidden. And when you know what is hidden, you will organize to deliver yourself with time. Nigeria is under siege. Under the siege of men that don't care about lives. Unfortunately, when those sets of men are now gowned, we now begin to have issues again. Too many times people tell me, hey, Katie, don't speak. I say, we died as children. We died because we were warned to. People don't like people that speak the truth. The truth will not sell. They will call you names. And we were running up and down. So when I saw that again, I'm thinking, God help us. What is the future for Nigeria? So I call for a second independence. Independence in the word of it. See, the strict training that we need to undergo, the kind of education and the kind of conversations on our tables in our homes must change. Because we are a people under siege. And people are using their force against the people. That's cannibalization. It is you using the strength and do you know what it does to even a military man to find himself fighting civilians? The essence of saying bloody civilians, that civilians cause a lot of chaos. They are not trained, they are not, determined, they are not outcome focused. That's what it means. That their activity can cause a lot of waste of lives. But what are we saying now? When it comes to Justice Pratt, I felt sad, very sad. A young man, because you use satire when you know a system is down and you cannot really speak the truth to that system. So a lot of young people who are conscientized, who are conscious, try to play safe. But after, what we need to understand is that the more informed you become, the more you will begin to know the root causes of trouble. So there is no way you will not end up where we ended up, querying the system. So he said, look, we are lying as a people when we say we don't want, we want a proper defense structure in Nigeria. You cannot send hungry men to the field to die and then go to the barracks. You see many, well, they are not even living there anymore. Anytime we reach out to widows in the barracks, you see them, very small girls, less than 25, all widowed. Go there, you find out. So we are saying that we are Nigerians. The civilian population in a democracy must make decisions that we deliver and protect our soldiers. They are our military men. We love them. We want them robust. Look, when a military man stands, because it is about the brawn, the mind. It's almost like an equipped humanity. A man that has undergone discipline of his body and conquered his soul and is willing to take a risk for the nation. But you've seen potbellies, haven't you? A man that is disciplined enough to know what to eat, what to reject, to sleep in the cold, a superman. That is what a military boy is a machine. Do you get what I'm saying? Capable of thought and decisions in split seconds. In fact, it's a noble space to be in. But unfortunately, we have not understood that when we train our children, look at what France is doing now. France is planning to raise soldiers. If you really look at what France is doing now, they are going to the primary school, planning to take in 3,000 recruits over time and building an army. They are doing it now. Please, let Africans understand. If we teach our children the right education, history, let them know there's a life to live for the survival of the community. But a situation where a soldier loses his life to Boko Haram, and they didn't give us equipment, or somebody gave some information and made us victims on the field, and you say they should not speak again. Sometimes I say, please be careful. Okay,
we often hear about poor remuneration, delayed allowances, inadequate equipment, and mental stress among troops. Do these welfare gaps amount to a human rights issue, and are we going to see more of justice cracks springing up?
Well, now that we are talking, and I will use the example, that's why I say Nigeria is a very special case. The police had their retirement funds swallowed. Police is investigation. Have they been able to come up with anything serious about themselves or their defense? That's why every system is having issues in Nigeria. So the same thing applies to the military. You've heard of money funds for security that had been embezzled. Go everywhere. You see, militaries won't keep up. Then you now look at the kind of mansion built on it. When soldiers are people that live on their backs, when you see a military gear, you see the roll-up bag, you see the jerry can, you understand? He's a man on the move. And in Nigeria, they are building mansions. So the Nigerian military system is such that we need to revamp. Strangely,
how damaged is the system?
It has never really lived well. Yes, since the 80s. I actually wanted to join and said, no, I'm not going in this direction. Do you get it? Yeah, I'm not going in this direction because there were some things that were already wrong then. So Nigeria is a nation that has to be built from the foundation. So
could this situation stop some soldiers from speaking up?
No, they're not to speak up. Do you get what I'm saying? It's this way. When you look at a system, do you know how many women are quiet? Because they know their husbands are not good. I'm going to that fundamental unit. Yes, you made promises to one another. It's not really bad, but a system of governance of the home is wrong. After some time, the woman becomes silent. Why? Because shouting will not do the work. You get the idea? So that is telling, like in a Nigeria where people are willing to die, and then when you get into the system, you discover no. In fact, recently, somebody I know very well was going to camp as a copper. And I know the Nigerian police, the DSS, the paramilitary and the military, will be going to camp to go and cite people. I told him, the answer is no. Because when you even demonstrate sagacity, too many people say, look, you soon calm down. You know, people even say it. It's like even in religion, when you get born again fresh, they say, I still they shock you. You soon calm down. Why are we in a nation where people want to douse enthusiasm and passion? So not speaking out is not that you don't know what is wrong with this system, but you've noticed that the system is not, the thermodynamics is not ripe for the change we desire.
So are there functioning functioning and safe internal mechanisms in the Nigerian military to address issues of this kind?
Oh, definitely. But it now depends on the captain. You get what I'm trying to say? We should have a system that is self-sustaining, sustainable system, where it does not matter whether your commandant like you or not. But you see, Nigeria is such that at its developmental stage now, if your boss like you, then you get some things. If your boss happen to be nice, that captain good though, that guy good though, you know, that kind of thing. So it is still left to
it's
individual.
Dependent on the people and not the system.
Not the system. So the system will be operated by human beings. That's what I'm talking about, education. It's the trainings, do you understand? The Nigerian mind, you know, look, we must become active, positive, active citizens. Where if you're selling food, you're standing. You know, you're in primary school, you understand you're laying foundation for the thought process of that child. When you're a nurse, you're not smacking or shouting at the woman. You understand she's producing human beings. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's our collective understanding, the educational process of Nigeria, the guidance processes in Nigeria is making for very weak citizenry. Because some adults think that when you are strong, you are a threat to the succession plan of their own children who are better schooled in other climates. Look at how Nigerians are being dealt with in South Africa. Okay? All over the world, Nigerians are strong, resilient, but there is no home. The base is rotten. So if we speak for the military, we really cry a lot anytime we hear that one military man is down. It's a lot. But now when you now have somebody picked up simply because he spoke, that look, hungry man, if he defend you. What is wrong with that? Why can't we speak in our nation? Where are we going to speak? If you cannot speak in your own nation, where are you going to speak? And it's so bad. Some people can't even speak in their own families. So how do you save such a nation? You change the educational system. And when the educational formal system is not good enough, the informal system has to be. That's why they are influencers. People want to hear what they have to say. A sane system will increase the volume of that voice. And they begin to work on the formal structure to address those things. What is wrong with saying, save Nigerian military? What is wrong with that? Then you picked somebody up, and then you're harassing him. Why is it touching that system? The military is for Nigerians.
It was taken to court yesterday,
yeah,
and there was public reaction.
Yeah.
Is that a showcase of how much distrust Nigeria are now beginning to have in the Nigerian military and how they handle internal crises?
The military, we always have its own tribunal. The military has its own system. It is not open to civilians much, okay? But we've seen our interactions with them, how they've dealt with us. But
because it was handed over to the DSS, because
yes,
he is a civilian.
Yes, that was it. I'm following the story. So the thing is, the military persona in Nigeria should understand, we are not your enemies. You are to protect us from external aggressors. A situation where you run before Boko Haram and then you now come and be pulling military zone, keep off. Keep off from where now? You are not even supposed to be living with us. Do you know that's what it is? If you are now with us, stay in your quarters. But a situation where you've built your house amongst the community, you now put military zone, keep off. How? Why? Do you see it? Because we don't understand why we are the protector of the people. It's very sad. And for me, once I thought about it, I said, we have a trial going on now about coup plotters. This will tell Nigerians, the Nigerian military is not a salvation point because they are not ruling over their own estate fairly. Okay, that's another proof. Another thing that signals to me is that this government should be very careful. Okay? Because when things that happened yesterday keep happening and people are talking about it, we begin to view again. look at you again. Are you operating a system that we need to? By now, presidency should be saying something. Yes. Because this snowball is to cause crystallization, ideas. Like I said, I was very sad, thinking, are we back to early 90s? You know, are we back to the 80s? Are we seeing another Babangida regime where we were called radicals, you know, and we're having to fight to have a civilian rule? No, we know that we're not where we should be, but we would have loved to think there's progress. But a situation where we now see women crying and people saying, no, 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 release, you know, that means we are back to the 80s.
Should the Nigerian military have focused more on the content rather than the approach with which it passed the information?
They are just tired of civilians talking about them. And really, I'm thinking so. There's something about, you see, the content. Many people are in social media. So when you point out, you are drawing attention to that aspect, you are going to start a conversation. And they don't want a fragmented focus in order to fight the, you know, to handle the security situation in Nigeria. So it can be very dangerous when you start drawing attention to it. They are not well taken care of. You're increasing that volume. Do you get it? It can cause trouble in the military. So civilians somehow should please take your time to understand and keep off certain spaces. So
as it stands, as a human rights activist, is Justice Crack the problem here? Or is just a deeper institutional crisis that no one wants to talk about?
It is the third one. The third one is a Justice Crack should not have been apprehended.
In the first place.
But this conversation he has started can lead to a lot of...
But will arresting him now stop the conversation?
It has started. They've ignited the conversation more. That is why we need strategic reasoning when we're doing anything. But the fact is, we still think our military deserve better. Yes. So this will also lead to conversations at that level. And that is why speaking is always good for a nation. That's why I mentioned the earlier. Information is good. It is how we grow. The questions we ask are the ones we get answers to.
So what reforms do you think the Nigerian military should urgently be looking into as we speak?
They should take care of their internal structures. But how do you... The people in the military are from the Nigerian people. And we have been doing winners take it all. A situation when the governor is governor, even his commissioners don't have much say because he's appointing them. Is that not it? You see a governor looking so nice and all the commissioners are looking funny. They are occupying seats of power, but they are not empowered to operate in those spaces. Is that not what we see? You see a boss in any Nigerian organization having the state-of-the-art car, vehicle. But the operationals, the logistics,
who actually do the job.
Who do the job have nothing. You see a father eating a lot of meat and the children. In fact, mommy is no. That is it. So it's a patriarchal system. It's a perception of boss or guard the top. It's still the same thing. So it is not. That's what I'm talking about. The educational system. It is not just the military. It's not even the police. Go to the barracks and see what they're doing.
It's the Nigerian system.
It's the Nigerian system. That is it. It's the Nigerian system. It is how we value human lives. Is that we think they don't deserve, we deserve. It is telling our children to come and be taking loan to go to school. Do you get? Because we don't understand that the educated man is the cultivated man. And the cultivated man, when you talk about cultivation, there's planning. Okay? So it is our inability to understand the value, the futuristic value of every child that is born in the hospital. That is why you have a situation where people are sick, you don't care because you don't think they are adding value. So it is all of us. It is the system we operate, and it is the leaders. So that goes back to the president. Yes, and his ministers of defense. Telling them, please stop saying there's an external problem. There are also internal developments that should take place. And a lot of money has gone into the military, but did it get to the other ranks? These are questions that they will have to answer. But really, I also know that it is not okay when civilians start chewing military issues in their mouth. Because you'll be treading on spaces that should be sacred, really. Yes. You cannot have a soldier being double-minded. It is dangerous.
So can true discipline and accountability coexist with humane treatment for Nigerian military personnel?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Humane treatment, interpretation, human rights. It means if you are born as a human being, you deserve to live well. There's dignity in being a human being. So if we're saying people that are differently able deserve dignity, how much more people that are super trained? All of us deserve dignity. We deserve a better Nigeria. Nigeria is really a nation under siege of poverty. And like I said, when you talk about certain issues, insecurity, then put the money where your mouth is. The average military man should be sure that if anything happens to him, his family will not be in jeopardy.
If Justice Crack's case is not handled the right way, what long-term consequences do you think this will have on the Nigerian troops, the morale and public trust among the people?
I think we should look more at Justice's case because he's now suffering because of the people he was speaking for. So it means many people will not even fight for them again. If they cannot fight for themselves, we're trying to draw attention now, they are banging people's head. So what do you think will happen? I just pray God saves that young man. Let him get back to his family safely. They should release him. He has not committed any serious, there's an infringement because he stepped into a territory he didn't understand. But speaking for our soldiers, we want our soldiers to be taken care of.
Okay, lastly, what would you say to the Nigerian military at this time? And how best do you think they can approach this case of Justice Crack to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand? Because if we now begin to have unrest, as Nigerians came out to meet him in court yesterday, it could be bigger than that if care is not taken.
Well, I'm adding my voice to the fact that the young man should be released. I'm part of that. I'm speaking now, so let it be recorded. Let the man be released. But also, I'm also saying that the Nigerian military is not the only person. That's why I mentioned presidency. It is time for the minister to deal with this. And I also think that it has become a major consideration for me as a person in 2027.
Thank you, Comrade Katie, for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you for
that. It has been a wonderful session with you after a long time out.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. A very important conversation there, and one that goes far beyond the case of one soldier or an individual. It's a call. This is not just about Justice Crack. Of course, that's his alias. He's known as Justice Mark Chidebere. And it is about the condition of Nigerian soldiers, the price of service, and the responsibility of states to protect those who protect the nation. If this case has done anything, it has forced the country to control difficult but necessary questions about welfare, justice, institutional accountability, and the human cost of national security. Our thanks to Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, Comrade Katie, a lecturer at the University of Ibadan, and a human rights activist, a respected one at that, for sharing our insights with us on this important issue. To our viewers out there, thank you for staying with us on The Big Story this morning. And the show is still Daybreak Live. I am Samsi Balogun. Stay with us as we continue to ask the hard questions and spotlight the issues that matter most. Up next is Trend Watch. Good morning.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
We thank you for staying with us on Dominion Television. This is Daybreak Live. Now we move on to the next segment, which is Trend Watch, and we spotlight the things that are trending across the country and sometimes across the internet. But this time around, it's about politics, and it's about Peter Obi yet again. ADC lambasts Peter Obi over ignorance of party policies, says he is only interested in presidential ticket. That's exactly according to the publicity secretary of the party, ADC, Abdullahi Bolaji, who came out to say, you know what, this guy does not know so many things about policies and party politics and how it should be played and all of that. But that's the conversation right there. But it's not just him, because also the presidency as well as the APC, the incumbent administration of Tinubu, also said the same thing, that the way he's jumping around, it doesn't seem like he has a future in the Nigerian political scene as we have it. But Samson Balu, this is the issue.
Well, Bolaji Abdullahi, it surprises me that he has become a full-blown politician. He used to be in the sporting industry, and he was Minister for Youth and Sport, I think, between 2012 and 2014. And now that he has become a full-blown politician, throwing jabs at politicians, that says a lot about how quickly people can change and immerse themselves into the systems they find themselves.
No time.
I'm proud of him, Bolaji Abdullahi, as a sports person myself.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think sometimes when people make some assertions, you would love to echo their sentiment and talk about what they are actually saying. Is if you check Peter Obi's trajectory as a politician, it is the ticket or nothing. It's not really about the party. Whether the party fails after the election, Peter Obi does not care. When he was governor in Abga, when it was done, he left. And he was in the PDP, he could not get the ticket, he left the party. And he did not care how many people were going with him and how much damage it was going to do to the system and the party that gave him a platform. He left and he moved to the Labour Party. In the Labour Party, on a platter, just like he got it in Nabga, where Chukwemeka Odumegu went to Lagos and picked Peter Obi and said, I want you to be the governor of Anambra State, and there was no competition. They gave him the ticket. He got the same luck at the Labour Party. The ticket was handed to him, on a platter. He did not compete with anybody for the ticket. Or if there's any, maybe there should be information out there, but there isn't any. And he got the ticket. He contested in Labour Party, and he polled over 6 million votes. And there was enough time at that time to build the momentum leading to the election. And that happened. After that, the party broke into three. He did not wait or stay back to actually fix the problem that he was a part of and that was instrumental in creating. He left the party again and moved to the PDP, to the ADC. And the ADC was looking at, with Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi and Mechi, I might have to slug it out with them to get the ticket, and it's not looking likely. He's gone to NDC again. If someone wakes up tomorrow morning and goes to NDC, and that person is powerful and also rich like Atiku Abubakar, the question is, will Peter Obi leave again within the short time frame that he has? Will he stay and fight for the ticket? I don't think so. So he's been always moving from one political party for some reasons that they are obvious anyway. you can also say that because there was crisis in the ADC, might not really want to, immerse himself in the crisis and then want to leave for a cleaner platform that will give him the platform to actually contest the election. But as it stands, ADC they have their tenets, okay? And I don't think everyone in the party believe in the tenet and the ideology of the political party. They are just there because they see it as a special purpose vehicle to contest an election. Otherwise, there should be a form of orientation and reorientation. We have Atiku, for example, has been a conservative, he's been in the progressive, he's been moving from one party to the other. Rotimi Amechi was once a conservative. He left the PDP to join the APC, which is a progressive party. Rauf Aregbesola has been a progressive for a long time anyway. David Mark has been a conservative for a long time. So, if you now say they are all in the ADC now, does that mean their ideologies match? And Peter Obi too. He was in the progressive when he was in ABGA, All Progressives Grand Alliance. Okay, that is the ideology. And when he moved to the PDP, a conservative party, went to Labour, which is a totally different ideology to what they had all. And now NDC. Well, let's just believe that Bolaji Abdullahi is right to say he does not believe in the tenet of the party. But the question is, the people who are left in the party, do they believe in the ideology of the political party? Do they share the same goal or the same idea? I don't think so.
Well, I think that's exactly one of the things we've been saying about the lack of ideological stance in the political scene, especially in parties, to say if a party is known by the name, maybe ABGA, like you said,
it's just
or Progressive Grand Alliance.
The ideology is still shrouded in secrecy.
Exactly. So are they really progressive? So that's a conversation, And a lot of times, these are not so clear to people. And a lot of people would just support parties just because of individuals, not because of the party and the policy or the policy prescription of the party. And this has been a thing. But again, when he left on Sunday, he was speaking to the press, Peter Obi, and he said why he left was because of the litigation and counter-litigation. He said he does not want that, and he said it publicly.
And he was begging them.
He said, we don't want you people to come to this party because you've done evil in that party and you want to come again. Don't follow us. If you don't, he was telling them, please, we don't want any litigation in this party. And so you might want to laugh about it because it's funny to say that we don't want you to come out because, like you said, even if they come now, he might need to just fly away. Fly away, Peter, fly away. His name is Peter.
Okay. Fly away, Paul.
Okay. Fly away, Obi. But anyway, the case is this. Peter Obi does not care who serves God. If he sees that this place is not conducive,
he mentioned that he has to be in 200 political parties to meet his aspiration.
But again, I wanted to speak to the issue of the Atiku, the David Mark, Rauf Aregbesola. I wanted to. So what exactly is it going now? Everybody is waiting. So who's going to be there? Maybe Atiku is going to be their presidential candidate. Who's going to be their vice? But I don't think. I think if you want to form an alliance against an administration as strong as the APC, I think what you should do is get your best hands together. And it does not matter if you are the president or you are the vice president. What matters is, can we sustain this? Can we make this happen? And later, maybe sustain it for a long time to become. Maybe I can eventually emerge as a president as well in this party. Can we stay together and cook things? Like they say, let's cook. Like Arsenal is cooking right now. Can we come together and cook stuff and just wait? I'm saying Arsenal because Arsenal has stayed for a long time without sacking their coach. I mean, so that's how parties should. If parties are really serious about making a change in the country, it takes a while to make a change, and we all understand that. So get together, get the party policies, the prescriptions, let's have everybody to sit at the table to say, let's discuss how we can move forward and all of this, and let's move forward.
Okay, there is a particular comment that interests me here. I think that is coming from Clement Mvene. He says, PO was ignorant until he discovered during Oyo Summit that ADC party policies centered on crowning the most desperate, ambitious Syria presidential aspirant in Nigeria. We also mentioned the name, the party's presidential flag bearer. Why can't AA support PU? Well, that's something, that's a really big one there.
Admore says, how I wish Nigeria have room for independent candidates. Peter Obi would have been better off it than mixing himself with all these corrupt politicians who had never sworn to see a new Nigeria, which Peter Obi said is possible.
Well,
lastly,
let me take this one. Maaji Caleb Zonhua says, this policies is observed seems to be foundation of cracks that will end crumbling, and the coalition will, with all its plans, most likely end as a bad arenas. Okay, I think that's what we can take on the show this morning. So thank you for being a part of the show. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow. Same time, same station, same host, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice where inspiration meets entertainment. And do well to also link up with us on all social media platforms. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook channels. Watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng. All right, up next is the agenda with Chike Ogwogu. Samson Balogu is my name. As I always say, security business is everybody's business. All right, if you see something, say something. Bye for now. And
I would say Nigeria belongs to you, me, and every one of us. So do your bit, I do my bit to make Nigeria a better place. My name is Arnold Wapoido. Thank you very much for joining us.